and welcome back to the Bite-Sized Brief. Today we are doing our Christmas special, even though we're not going to really talk about Christmas, but at the end we are going to recap kind of our favorite products from 2025. So let's get started with the whole Netflix situation. And Sterling, what do you know about this?
Yeah, I'm sure by now everyone you've heard about Netflix is trying to buy Warner Bros., which is really expensive because it's like somewhere like $81 billion or something like that. That is a lot of money to spend on just one company. But I see Netflix doing this because they want to get out of their common movies and common shows that are very similar to each other, and they want to branch out into more things. And because Warner Brothers are one of the biggest in theater premiere companies left, a lot of people are really against it because they want movies to stay in theaters and not just all go to Netflix. Because if Netflix buys Warner Brothers, most likely all their movies are just going to go to Netflix and they will stop becoming in theaters. That's everyone's fear right now.
Yeah, I'm personally against this. I don't have Netflix. One of my family members had it like 5 years ago, but then they canceled it because, like you said, there wasn't much good things on Netflix. But my fear is, as these big companies do, they're going to take all of the original series and movies and everything from Warner Bros. And lock them behind Netflix because you can watch some of their movies on Amazon and places like that. They're probably going to make it only on Netflix. And if they try to continue on the series, it could ruin it, kind of like what Disney did with Star Wars and some of the later movies. And Paramount actually is also trying to buy Warner Bros. Too. They offered like 20 billion more at around 100 and something billion. And now it's up to Warner Bros. To decide, but it's just like, why? Why are you doing this? And then of course Netflix is against theaters, which honestly I don't go to theaters that much anymore, but if it's like a big movie that I'm into or some series that I like, I will try to go see it, which yeah, of course theaters are already kind of becoming extinct, but this is probably gonna make that worse.
Yeah, absolutely. I, I don't think Paramount has much of a chance because if you're Warner Brothers, I don't know if Netflix doesn't go through, I'm almost positive Paramount's not going to go through either, even if they're worth more money. But overall, Warner Bros. Are struggling financially, where maybe they're desperate enough where they need it. I don't think that it's like they're going to go out and they're searching for people to buy them. But if they have enough financial struggles, I think they may be forced to do something about it.
Yeah, I just hope that they don't ruin anything because this also includes their side company, which develops games, like a lot of the Lego games and stuff like that. I I wish this type of thing wouldn't happen, but if it does, I just hope that Netflix doesn't completely ruin it.
Yeah. So overall, I don't think the Paramount purchase or Netflix purchase is good for anybody. Because especially if Netflix or Paramount buys them, there's a good chance that their movies will be very similar to what Netflix has and very similar to what Paramount has. Because once you buy someone, you start adapting to fit into their user base. For example, Netflix used to be a lot of movies, but then it slowly adapted into all TV shows, reality TV shows, stuff like that. And I'm afraid the same thing will happen with Warner Brothers if this does go through.
Yeah, that overall just definitely not something because I mean, all of these streaming companies are buying other companies. I mean, you have Disney Plus who bought Hulu and ESPN and one other company. And
Hmm.
then actually Netflix tried to buy Disney Plus, which when I heard that I was like, that is not happening. I mean, it's Disney. Come on. Disney is not gonna let that happen. But overall, it's just not good and because it also can take away from that originality of these different studios and everything because Warner Bros. Really isn't like a streaming service. They're like a studio that makes movies. I don't know if they have their own streaming service, but yeah, I just hope this doesn't happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if that does happen, there's probably a good chance that some of the best people at Warner Brothers would just leave the company. Just like how it's rumored that a couple people are leaving Apple. So, there's rumors going around, or maybe more than rumors going around about Tim Cook leaving Apple. What do you know about that?
So basically, this is this is something that's kind of rumored, but then also not a rumor because basically the board of directors at Apple has been talking about Tim Cook retiring or at least stepping down from the CEO role as soon as next year. And the bigger picture is that lately, like within the past month, there has been several Apple executives leading. The environmentalist head has left. Uh, I think his name was like Jeff or something. He did a lot of the Apple Watch stuff. He retired, which is good that he retired. And there's one more. But probably the biggest thing is that the guy behind the Apple Silicon transformation of the Mac was rumored to be leaving. Now, he came out with a statement saying that, oh, yeah, I'm not leaving anytime soon, but he might be. But I'm actually excited about Tim Cook leaving, but what do you think about this, Sterling?
Yeah, I'm actually really excited too because if Tim Cook leaves, there's a good chance that Apple will start going a different direction. I mean, not saying that the direction is bad right now, but it's could be better because it's been pretty stale for a good while, and everyone complains how stale it is. And then they tried the Apple sock, that didn't really hit off. Anyway, but they need to try something new. Maybe a new CEO is the something new that they need. Maybe they need to focus more on hardware and then software. Because for a long time, iPhones have been just software, software, software. Oh, you get to upgrade this year, software, software. Then you get to upgrade this year. If they go for more of like an M1 based approach, like they have been, or with their Macs, I think is going to be a great leap because Intel to M1 was already a giant leap where it was extremely power efficient, it was significantly faster, and didn't produce much heat whatsoever. And if they can do that with the iPhone, I think it would be a benefit for everyone.
Yeah, and of course, Apple's been making their silicon for iPhone and it already is quite efficient. They could improve upon that, but I I'm mainly excited for Tim Cook leaving because, like you were saying, it'd be better if they focus on hardware, and that's because the most likely replacement for him is John Ternus. He's actually been at Apple for quite a long time, but in the past probably 4 years, like post-COVID timing, he's been more Apple Vince and everything, and he's the vice president of hardware. And from what I've seen out of him, from the past several years, I think he would be a really good fit because he's a lot more focused on hardware, and Tim Cook was a little bit more focused on services and software. So I'm hoping if he does become CEO, he can make the hardware even more advanced, more innovative. But probably the best thing is that the software can work better and the hardware won't be as limited by the software. Now, of course, Craig Federighi is still going to be the software guy, but maybe he can work better with him to hopefully really do that. And when I heard this news, I was really excited, especially because of that candidate. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be a great direction for Apple. But what's not a great direction that we've been going is that RAM has been going through the roof. So I went to Best Buy yesterday and online, and there's a RAM kit that used to be $450. It was like 64 gigs of DDR5. Okay, that's pretty reasonable. Like $410 for that much RAM, that fast RAM. That's pretty good. I go back later that day and I look at its current price. It's $910.
Well,
And this is all because we are having a massive, massive RAM shortage.
yeah. So basically, first of all, now we're talking Apple prices of RAM, but basically, a lot of the AI companies like OpenAI, Meta, Nvidia, and other AI companies, Google, have been buying a ton of RAM for their AI processing devices, their servers, and also I think Nvidia was buying something for like a AI graphics card or something like that. I'm not exactly sure.
Hmm.
But basically, they're taking the biggest RAM manufacturer, they're taking 60% of their stock now. And the problem is consumer devices like gaming consoles, laptops, phones, even watches, everything needs RAM these days. And since there's a shortage now, this is just the prices are going up and up because of the shorter. And in today's economy, this is just really bad.
Yeah, absolutely. This RAM shortage is getting really bad where the point is I'm not surprised if like every single consumer electronic device goes up in the next couple months. I mean, for Apple, they already charged a lot for RAM. Like for example, if you were to upgrade a 16 gigabyte Mac for 36 or 48 gigabytes, it'd be like $200 more. It was over its weight in gold, which is not really a fair comparison, but it's pretty hilarious comparison nonetheless. My question is, are they going to keep those profit margins that they have for that RAM, or are they going to increase the price also? Because from the looks of it, they don't need to increase the price right now to stay profitable, but in the future they might.
Yeah, I don't think, at least for the first few years, or at least maybe another year, they won't increase the price because, like you said, they've already been quite high. And hopefully that will give them some budget room. So I don't think they'll increase it, but I've heard rumors that like the Switch 2, Nintendo has already lost like $14 billion because of this and some other things like that, and that they might have to raise the price, which people have already complained about the Switch 2 being expensive, and this is just gonna make that worse.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything is going to get more expensive. And I don't see like a time where it's going to start going back down in price because all the manufacturers for RAM are basically at 100% capacity already. And now OpenAI, Meta, all the AI companies are buying up all of their basic, like 60% of all they have. They can't just start making more. They have to build their own factory to make more. They have to build more efficient ways to produce it. There's no way for them to start cranking out more memory. So unless if companies stop buying the memory, I don't see us having memory prices going down within the next, I would say probably 2 years because it takes a long time to make like a RAM facility.
Yeah. So as far as getting out, I don't really see a good way either, and it'll probably take a long time. I've heard this term going around, when will the AI bubble burst? Like, will AI stop becoming the thing? And that I don't know, which we'll talk more kind of about that when we recap 2025 and going into 26 later. But there's not really a way unless these AI companies stop buying. And it's not like they can just build a ton of, like, hundreds of more RAM factories overnight. So, definitely is going to be rough for consumer electronics for the next few years because of this.
Yeah. And what else is rough with consumer electronics is the new price of the Samsung Galaxy Trifold. So Samsung unveiled a brand new phone, which is kind of like their Z Folds, where it's a phone and it like folds in half and it unfolds into like a squarish tablet. But this one, it is a phone that unfolds and then unfolds again into a rectangular tablet. So it goes from like a 6-inch phone to like a 10-inch tablet. I'm actually really hyped about this. This seems like a great product because it is best of both worlds. You have your phone and you have your tablet. Instead of buying a $500 tablet and a $1,000 phone, you can buy a $3,500 device that does both of them at the same time. Is it more expensive? Absolutely. And are there trade-offs? Yeah. And what are those trade-offs?
So, first of all, you have the cameras aren't as good. The batteries, sometimes the batteries are actually better depending on what it is. I'm not exactly sure if the battery's better on this one. And then, of course, you have durability. I do think this is a cool product. Like the having, your normal phone and then you unfold it to like a tablet, that is cool. And I'm honestly open to the idea, but at this point, at least for me, I just don't really like the trade-offs. Durability, the screens are very easy to scratch. I'm sure over time there's a lot more chances of things breaking, possibly. Water resistance, not as good. It does have water resistance, which is pretty impressive considering what it is. And it does have a good camera. I mean, it has a 200 megapixel wide camera, but then the ultra wide and telephoto are just okay for today's standards. So once they really find a way to make it thinner when it's folded and um, just kind of try to cut back those trade-offs, and I don't know if there might always be trade-offs, but I do see being open to this idea, but of course then there's the price. I don't just have $3,000 laying around, so yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And the trade-off for me, that's the biggest one, is the price and the durability. Because overall, the durability is not bad. Like it has some water resistance, has some dust resistance, it's drop resistant. That's fine. But the screen is plastic because you can't make a glass that actually folds. I mean, it has ultra thin glass in between two layers of plastic. The ultra thin glass is practically not glass at that point. And they can't just put a glass screen on it because glass is glass and glass breaks. And if you try to fold glass, it'll just break. And there's really no way of getting around that. That's the main problem with all foldables, is that the screen is plastic. Ignoring the price, because the price is kind of outlandish at this point. I mean, yes, it's more hardware, but at this point, it should not be that much more expensive to produce a folding screen because they're kind of common now. A lot of companies like OnePlus, Xiaomi, I think Realme just released a foldable too. All of those companies are already having folding screens, so it's not out of the blue to have a folding screen. My question is, this product I don't think is going to sell too well just because of the price. I mean, it's a really cool device, absolutely. Just $3,500 is a lot of money. And especially when foldables aren't too popular in the first place. I think foldables become more popular once the Apple Fold comes out. But that's a problem because Apple Fold, what are they going to do about the screen? I know it's going to be creaseless, but is it going to be plastic also?
So, like you're saying, they've at least reportedly been trying to develop a creaseless screen, and I the thing is I don't see a way of them making it glass, so I'm not sure if it will be plastic, if they'll use some other material, if they'll find some fancy way of basically saying plastic or something like that. I don't know. I do think they are going to try to do something different to kind of make it stand out. I don't know. But I do think it might increase the market just because it's Apple. But if it comes out, I'm not buying it because I don't have that much money. And there will still be trade-offs with the Apple Fold. The camera won't be as good. The battery may not be as good. We're not sure yet. This is still rumored. But it will be interesting to see. I mean, it would be interesting to try out at, like, an Apple store, but I don't know all what they could do to make it more durable. I mean, I just think we have to wait for the technology to evolve more, but I do think for at first, it will kinda boost the market, but then it might, like, a year down the road, it might not be too successful.
Yeah, absolutely. And going off of what you said that they'll have a fancy, like, weird way of naming it. I think let's just throw ideas out here. Let's go, um, aerospace grade flexible acrylic.
But honestly, they might say that, they might call it, I don't know, but they're probably going to find some way of basically saying plastic, just in a way that doesn't feel like plastic.
Yeah, absolutely. They do that with a lot of things. Like instead of a 120 hertz screen, it's a pro motion display. Or instead of having a camera that bends down to 12 megapixel, it's a two-in-one fusion camera. And it's just the way of them naming stuff is absolutely hilarious sometimes.
Yeah, I'm like you're saying with that camera, they really are trying to make it sound like there's 2 camera because my phone, it has 3 cameras, but if you ask Tim Cook, he's gonna say it has 7 cameras, and I'm like, "No, it
What?
doesn't. I'm sorry."
Yeah, no, it does not. And like for the iPhone Air where it has the one camera and then they say it's 2 cameras because it's 2 in 1. That's not how camera works. I'm gonna tell you there, that's zooming into 1 camera. That's not 2 cameras. Anyway.
Yeah. So, moving on, we're going to talk about the Australia social media ban. So, basically, they are banning social media to people who are under 16. What do you know about this?
Okay, so I know quite a bit about this just because I became into some hot water about this because I mentioned like, hey, this is probably a good thing. Then everyone in the group chat I was in, and they're like, what are you talking about? This is not good. I'm like, and then I had to step back and realize why they think it's not good. All of them are under that 16. And I'm not. So the thing is, it would not affect me, but it affects them. So if you're here saying that, oh, it's a good thing that it's being banned, put yourself into their shoes. Hypothetically, it's banned for people under 20 and you're under 20. It's banned for you now. What are you going to do? You can't do Facebook. You can't do YouTube, which you learn a lot of stuff on YouTube. You can't do TikTok, which I don't use anyway. You can't use Instagram. You can't use any of that. And it's not like you can use it with restrictions. It's not that. It's you cannot use it. Now, the way they went about this, I absolutely disagree with whatsoever. But I think it's a good attempt at something because their social media has been proven to cause like health issues, social interaction issues, all of that in young children.
Depression.
Yeah, depression, all of that. In young children, it's proven to cause that. But just saying you can't have it at all after they have had it. That's just taking away something that they already have. Let's say if, oranges. Oranges are banned because they cause minor health issues. You can't just take fruits away from them. You can't just take it away from them, even if it causes minor health issues. Oh, let's say McDonald's, for example. Let's say fast food all general. You just take fast food because it's caused unhealthy eating habits. Everyone is going to be upset about that. You can't just take it away from them after you've given it to them.
Yeah. So, I'm kind of in the same place where, like, it's a good attempt, but I don't really like it because, like, what about there's some content creators that are under 16 on YouTube, and they can't even make videos because you have to sign in to upload. And then, like you're saying, just people who watch YouTube or Facebook or like that, they just take it away. For kids that don't already have access to this stuff, it's not as big of a deal because they're not missing anything really. But for people and kids who have had this, just like taking it away from them, especially if they're
Mhm.
using it for good, because not everyone is using this for bad or other things like that. And I do think were other ways of other than just banning it. Like on YouTube, there's restricted mode, like maybe have the comments turned off and maybe limit it or something. I mean, it would be harder because you would have to go to all the different platforms and do that. TikTok should be banned anyway because TikTok is just disgusting. But I do feel like there is better ways of going about this than just banning it completely from people who've already had it, and I honestly just hope this doesn't come to the US.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know how serious this is. Like, if it is, you get around these restrictions, you're put in jail. I don't know how serious the restrictions are or the law is because it's really easy to get around, by the way. If you just set your VPN to a different country, which VPNs are like 10 cents a day for some of them. Some of them are like stupidly cheap. And you can just get around every single restriction whatsoever because it thinks that you're somewhere else than you're not. The only way for them to know exactly where you are if they have your GPS coordinates, which you can just say, no, you can't have my GPS coordinates because that's a permission. Like on iPhone and Android, it says, do you want this app to be able to access your location? You can say no. You don't have to say yes. And so they get your location by your IP address. Your IP address is basically saying, this is where this computer is, send this information to this computer. But if you go through a VPN, it goes to that computer in that country first, and then that VPN sends it to your computer. So It's extremely simple to get around it. You just need to install an app, pay like 10 cents a day, and you can get around every single social media restriction. So how much are they going to enforce this law? Are they going to be like, hey, you can't do it technically. Technically, you can't do it, but you can absolutely get around it. Or are they going to be like, you cannot get around it or else?
Yeah. So I honestly don't know how they're going to take that because, like you said, there is loopholes. VPNs, like, are they going to ban VPNs now for like everyone? Because people use VPNs for security. Sometimes they use it so they can watch shows that aren't available in their region and stuff like that.
Absolutely. And a
So
lot of companies require VPNs to access their data. Like if you're remote working, you have to use a VPN to access that company's data.
so yeah, like there's obviously workarounds to it, and
Mhm.
I don't know, are they purposely leaving those loopholes just to kind of deter? But then that's kind of far for deterring. I don't know. I just really think the implementation to this is not good.
Yeah, absolutely not. Maybe if they went a different route where they like you said, they have restricted mode that's required, or maybe it has like a time limit, like you can only be on it for 2 hours. That would be absolutely harder to manage, but it's better to manage because you don't. It's just so much easier. Well, not. It's not easier to implement the features, but it'll be so much more beneficial where people won't be trying to get around it. Instead, they'll be like, "Oh, my 2 hours are up. Well, I guess I have to wait for tomorrow." Instead of being like, I can't use it for 2 years.
Yeah, so yeah. Well, moving on, before we go, we are going to talk about kind of the biggest tech trends of 2025 and our favorite products of 2025, and then kind of going into 2026. So I guess I'll start. Probably like my favorite product is probably like the M4 MacBook Air or the iPhone 17 Pro. Um the M4 MacBook Air is a decent value, and I think some of the new features with the 17 Pro were really good, but as far as what I think this year represents and the biggest trends is AI. AI robots. Um, the and I honestly hope that 2026 brings something different besides AI, because there are downsides to AI. We have a server outages, we have the RAM shortages because of it, and all these other things that are happening. I mean, they're having to build jet engines just to power the data center. They're having to buy up all the RAM. So I really hope that something new happens. So in 2026.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say one of my favorite things for the year is Gemini being integrated to Google Assistant. That was absolutely one of the best features that they did. It's still coming to some devices. Some devices don't have it yet. Like for me, I'm technically under a supervised Google account. In other words, I can't use Gemini in Android Auto yet, which is really stupid. I should be able to use it because I can use it on my phone and my watch. But anyway, it is that. But it's just so much easier. I can say, "Hey, I want this person to have a text. Could it say this, this, and this?" I don't have to say, "Text this person." I have to wait for it to think. Okay, this is what the message says. Is this what the message said? Yes, that's what the message said. It's just so much easier, and I can give it multiple instructions. Okay, hey, can you set a timer and then set my alarm and then text this person when the alarm goes off? It just does that all for me automatically.
Yeah, definitely. And also kind of looking forward to 2026. I am really excited for when at least a version of Gemini is integrated into Apple Intelligence. I've heard it could be coming as soon as like summer next year. I'm really excited for that. And that's kind of like the most I'm excited for next year. I mean, we could be seeing the iPhone Fold next year, but I'm not too excited for that because it's not something I'll buy. But
Mhm.
I have been hearing this term going around, when will, like I said before, when will the AI bubble burst, and kind of talking about, the RAM shortages and these prices. Like, will AI kind of die down, or will they find a way to make it more ethical in a sense where they're not having to buy all the RAM and using jet engines and putting the data centers in space and all that type of stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. Because where it is, AI is just something that's just sucking our resources, which is slightly useful because it made Google Assistant great. But then all of a sudden, it is not helpful like in any other way right now. Because if you go to like any website that has an AI chatbot, it never is helpful. And like talking to it, it's like, I can help you with this. You don't have to talk to a human. I'm like, no, you are not understanding a word I'm saying. Just take me to a human. Or like they integrate it into some things like AI powered bed. That's not AI. That's just a program that automatically sets itself. It's not AI because it's not learning upon itself. And it's just AI as it is way too hyped up. It can be something in the future, and it is something pretty decent in certain areas. But overall, it's just a thing, but it's not too impressive right now.
Yeah, so that's basically, looking forward to 2026 and kind of recapping 2025. Definitely been an interesting year. We've seen a lot of robots that are supposedly able to do things, but they have to have a human. But yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially when like the robots are requiring a human to do it. Like with it just that's completely roundabout. But what is your most anticipated product of next year? I have a couple of products in mind, but what's your most anticipated product of next year? If it might come out, it might not come out. Maybe it's never been even talked about it, but what do you expect or want to see?
okay, so for me, something I might actually get would definitely be the iPhone 18 Pro, but another thing is the budget MacBook that was rumored coming out. I think that will be really good. So those are probably my two most anticipated products of next year.
Okay, absolutely. And my most anticipated product is smart glasses that are running Android XR. It's already been like they've been showing demo units and everything, and then the Samsung Galaxy VR headset came out. Once they integrate it, just like Meta has done with their like Meta Ray-Ban displays, I'm really excited for that because I'm I mean, I do believe that that's the next step beyond phones. They may not be here yet because there are major problems with them. Like the battery life is really bad if you want a fast pair of glasses. But if you have a slow pair of glasses, it's going to drive you insane. Battery life might last long. And then it's very limited what it can do because um, Meta made the little like wrist band that automatically detects your hand movements without using cameras or anything. That's really impressive. At the same time, you can't really interact with it. You can like mouse around, but phones you can like have 5 finger scrolling and go up and down. You can split screen and all of that. With the glasses, it'll be much more limited. So I'm excited to see where they go with it, but it could also be like a complete fail this year.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not too into the smart glasses yet, but I think if they get good enough, it could be interesting, at least.
Yeah, I've already purchased um what are they? Display glasses. In other words, they're not like a computer or anything, but they just hook up to a display and the display is on the glasses, which are really cool. They're just it's a just display on your face. It's okay, I guess. It's just I can see through the screen, which is really weird. But because there's no computing on it, it's just a screen glued to your face. There's no like moving around. The screen doesn't stay in place or anything like that. So I'm excited to see where all of that goes. But at the same time, a lot of people like you probably aren't too excited for it. But personally, I am excited for it.
Yeah, if it gets good enough, I mean, I would be kind of interested in it. Definitely one thing is it would be nice if like, VR headsets where like the windows actually like stay in place. They don't like they stay in place in the environment. They don't just
Yeah, absolutely.
like that. Cause that that I don't know. In daily life, that would kind of be jarring, just having this thing in your face that it just stays there like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And like thinking about products that already exist in this range, there's the Even I don't know if you ever heard Even 1 and Even
Yeah.
2. They're a pair of glasses, but the display is in the corner. So in other words, if you want to look at the display, you go that, it's right there. It's not in your field of view. Which, but the thing is, it doesn't can't run apps or anything like that. It has translation, director speech. There is like an assistant. That's it. There's no apps, nothing like that. So I'm excited to see where that goes. Of course, it may not go anywhere because there's so many limitations when it comes to that, especially like motion sickness and stuff like that, which is a major problem with like existing VR headsets where like it's not moving as fast as your eyes can see, so it's jittery, and then you feel like you're out of your body.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And what's your least anticipated product, though? Like, you hear that a product's gonna come out, and then you're not excited whatsoever, you actually are disappointed if it comes out.
I don't really know for next year. There's not too much announced yet, and nothing really that I'm, like, about, honestly.
Yeah, for me, the thing that I'm least excited for is probably, honestly, the Galaxy S26 Ultra. I mean, I'm excited for the phone, but there's nothing new about it. Again, I mean, they're upgrading one of the cameras. Oh, like two of the cameras. But then they are making it rounder and faster chip. Yes, that's great, but I want them to do something new. I want them to put a bigger battery in it. I want to have new features in it. I want to have better water resistance. I want to have, I mean, it has MagSafe now. Okay, great. It's about time. It's finally about time. I just feel like they are doing what Apple is doing and that they're doing smaller upgrades over the years. Now, Apple, with their newest based iPhone 17, I think it was, their iPhone 17, they added a new chip, new display, new cameras. That was all great. And I need Samsung to start doing that, especially with their older phones, their regular S26 and their S26 Plus. They're getting no updates, like besides the chip. And that's what I'm least excited for this year because it's just the same phone again.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen, like, a thing talking about how the cameras on the back of the regular haven't changed since, like, the S22 or something like that.
Yeah, the regular S26 has the same cameras from the S22. They have a slightly larger aperture, but they're the same sensors.
Yeah.
Yeah. So overall, I am excited to see what we go for next year, especially with the AI. Everything hopefully starts becoming useful and not less of a burden, not just something that's sucking up all of our resources, all of our electricity, all of our water, all of our RAM chips, all of our GPUs, and something that's actually useful. Well, guys, thank you for listening to the Byte-Sized Brief. I'm Sterling and that was Danny, and have a great Christmas, guys. See you guys.
The Byte-Sized Brief will return the week after Christmas. Hope y'all have a Merry Christmas.